I visited Jamaica many times in my life, and when I think about the Jamaican lizard, this is the lizard that I think of. But on this journey to Jamaica, I learned about this lizard that was actually thought to be extinct at one point.
20 to 30 hatchlings and put them in one of these fairly large areas and let them live together like that. But we can't pit tag them till they're about closer to 80 to 100 grams.
Yeah.
And so when they come in, they're usually around anywhere from 17 to the bigger ones around 35 grams.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's now 3 different nest sites in the wild. So kind of when we bring them in, we try to clip their nails, but it wasn't always a concrete way of marking them and IDing them.
Yeah.
And so now what we've done is, the game's going through. They do get a fresh salad every day. We now have a nice kind of organic farm in the back of the zoo where we are able to grow a lot of our own, romaine, bok choy, callaloo, a little bit of callaloo, and then fruits. And then we're starting to bring back native seeds from Hellshire too, so we can start growing native plants. The wild population is restricted. It's literally like this 10 square kilometer patch in the wild.
And are they called a Jamaican?
Jamaican rock iguana.
Jamaican rock
Yeah,
iguana.
we call them Jamaican iguanas, but the full kind of proper name is Jamaican rock iguana.
And this is the rarest, you're saying the rarest one?
Yeah, it's probably the rarest. That's now the rarest iguana in the world. It was close between them and the blue caiman. Now the blue caiman's really rebounding, but there's around 45 iguana species globally. It's probably the rarest iguana and one of the rarest lizards in the world. I mean, it went from possibly less than 20 to 30 individuals. They thought it went extinct in the early 1940s. They thought it was totally wiped out, and it wasn't until 1990 until the pig hunter found it. So that's when they found this small little population. This is one of the more famous kind of conservation success stories. There's a lot of Head Start programs. That people, you can say you're Head Starting, but are you actually seeing success? Are you actually seeing survival and reproduction in the wild? And that's what it's really neat to see that here.
Man, this animal's so cool. Look at the skin. But let's learn a little bit more about where it began and got rediscovered.
Dog chased a lizard up a tree, big old lizard, and he actually ended up catching it and bringing it down to the Hope Zoo in the Yui, and that's when they were all in disbelief, holy cow. And so that kind of started, once they found out, they went back up there and they found small, 20, 30 individuals actually living up in this small little patch area, 5 square kilometers. And that kind of brought this international movement of all these kind of conservationists to come together locally and internationally, from San Diego Zoo, Fort Worth Zoo, Cincinnati, and then all local stakeholders like NEPA, Yui, Hope Zoo, UDC. And then they pretty much, 1991, 1992, started collecting babies because they figured out all the mongoose and cats pretty much were the main threats, along with pigs and dogs, but mongoose and cats are the main predators feeding on all the baby iguanas, and none of the hatchlings were surviving. So they nest around May every year, and then there's the habitat up there. It's this tropical dry forest limestone habitat. So it's very rocky and jagged, and there's a few little dirt patches, and that's the nesting sites. There's only a couple nesting sites. And so what they do is the females dig a hole, lay anywhere from 10 to 25 eggs, and then they all hatch out around usually end of August, early September. And that's how they can time it, is right when the babies are going to hatch. And that way we can collect them up. We let them hatch in the wild, and then they collect them up immediately and bring them to the zoo. And so currently now there's 4 NEPA rangers that live up there year round. One controlling invasives, cats, mongoose, pigs, and dogs, and then for hatching season they're up there. They kind of, they know the exact nesting sites, and they'll kind of put up this little barrier wall around it, waiting for the babies to hatch. As soon as they hatch, they start catching them up. And so they started collecting baby iguanas in 1991, and the first release group was in 1996, and it's been almost pretty much every year since then. But it was pretty low numbers, releasing maybe 10 to 15 iguanas from late 90s, early 2000s, and then it was averaging probably maybe 20 to 40 iguanas, the 2005 to 2012. And then this facility was actually built around 2014, 2015. There used to be 4 small cages over in the reptile house, where they just throw, 40, 50 iguanas in these small little cages. And now we've got much more space. So now in this facility right now we have around 450 iguanas, and there's believed to be around 500 or so iguanas in the wild actually. So we almost have just as much in captivity as there in the wild, but it's growing. Like to date, we're getting ready to release. By the end of the year, we'll release over 600 iguanas since the early 90s back into the wild. So. But now they're actually starting to track the mongoose and cats, and they've actually figured out the mongoose have the hatching season timed, where they actually will conglomerate around the iguana nest sites, waiting for the hatchlings to come out because they know it's a reliable food source. Between that August, September every year.
Yeah. So turtles have, like, if it's hot or cold, like they're either male or female, but alligators have like a thin, like male, female, male. What is it? Do you know what it is for iguanas? Is it similar to turtles, or is it more like alligators?
It's similar to turtles.
Is it hurt? The skin's falling off. Actually, I've noticed it on a couple of them.
They get nice when they're so unlike snakes, obviously they kind of shed one big piece. The iguanas, these guys kind of shed in little pieces, bits. They're always kind of constantly shedding.
Oh, that makes sense. So how do they drink? I haven't really seen any of them drinking any water.
They don't really drink much water. They absorb most of their moisture from the food, or even some occasionally when it rains, they'll drink from the rain. So we give them all water bowls and access to water, but most of the water comes from the food as well. And they found out, they think, the rock iguanas, they thought they were strictly just kind of rock, but then part of the cool thing that they started seeing here years ago, which we can see now, is that they're fairly arboreal. They like to climb. Like most of these guys spend most of the time high up, like on the cages, in branches and everything.
Well, I guess there's more than just the green anole in Jamaica. This rock iguana is so cool. There's now 500 in the wild, and in 2007, they were actually breeding in the wild. Man, I wish you guys luck. Well, until next time, stay safe, have fun, and enjoy the wildlife. Learn more about my book on my website. Have a good one. Please subscribe.